Hey guys, today I'll be showing you a Minimoog I've started the restoration on. So unfortunately I didn't actually get to make a video before I tore it down. I just got kind of busy in here. I'm working on so many other projects, including Oberheim OB1, some other stuff in the other room. So I'm just really busy right now. But I did think to catch this part of the video. So I'm going to just kind of show you the pre-restoration here. So this Minimoog, this is a 1974 Minimoog, and it actually played pretty well. There's nothing really incredibly odd to really show you. It played pretty well. The biggest thing with this one is cosmetics. You know, you can see that the interface is starting to delaminate. So I'm going to be taking the interface panel off, cleaning it up. Sometimes they clean up pretty well, sometimes they take quite a bit of work. Just depends on how bad the delamination is and how much it's pulled loose. So it is a job. So I'm going to be cleaning up the interface, get this interface panel cleaned up here. Also get the keyboard rebuilt. As you can hear, it is clanky, but it does actually still play pretty well. So the contacts are all in good shape. They just need good cleaning and alignment and all that good stuff. And of course the badge is missing, and it looks like the badge had slid. You can kind of see where it used to be, and then it either slid off the point or somebody re-glued it in the wrong point. So I'm going to clean up this glue real good. And then once I get all that, I'll condition the wood and give it just a really good, good servicing here. It's going to get the dead zone mod because this wheel, on these Minimoogs, all the pitch wheels are real sensitive. So it'll be getting the dead zone, so it'll have a true dead center, which means that the pitch will be more accurate. But I can show you, I've already pulled the circuit boards out of it. I'll just kind of give you a walk around here. So you can kind of see what the inside one of these looks like without the boards. And so you can see all the pots. This is something you will not see in the reissues. These Allen Bradley pots. Really, really good built pots here. But you can just see kind of how they look inside. And of course the date code on this one, it was 4/22/74 is when this one was actually manufactured, April 22nd. So it had a birthday not too long ago. Serial number is, I think that's 4545. I don't know if my camera can see that or not. 4545. So it's a pretty neat little Minimoog here. But just going to be cleaning it up, and I'll have you guys more updates as I go along here. I just want to give you guys a quick view of what the delamination process looks like here. So this is the actual top layer of this thing. And of course you can see after I clean it up, it's still got a lot of stuff to clean up, as far as I got to scrub all these glues and stuff off. And also you have to be really careful with these these later ones, because they're fully plastic. Like the metal ones that do this aren't quite as sensitive, but these warp really easy with heat, and they actually shrink. So you've got to be very, very delicate when you're heating up this process. Basically what I do is I get a corner started, heat it up, and peel it. And then the rest, once I get this off here, then it's just a much scrubbing and all that good stuff to get these glues off, because you can still see the streaks where the lamination had pulled away in the areas where the glue was still attached. So that's kind of what the delamination process looks like, and removing the top layer of this lamination. But you can see it comes off. It just takes a lot of heat, and unfortunately I forgot my gloves. I'm blistering my finger with the heat gun here. But that's kind of how it works. Just thought you guys might like to see the process here. Alright, I've now got this interface all cleaned up. You can see the delamination is removed, and it just looks fantastic. It looks much better than it did. And as mentioned, this is not an easy task. It took me probably about 2 hours to get all those glues off that was left on after I pulled the delamination layer. And so it's definitely not easy. And of course taking this panel off is not easy either. You have to desolder some stuff, you have to pull the overload light socket, you have to pull the pot light, you have to pull all the pots, drop them behind the panel. And then you have to be even more careful with these later Minimoogs, because they're completely plastic. So the interface is actually all plastic, whereas later or earlier, like in 73, 72, they were actually metal backed panels. So they actually had a metal backing on them, which are a little bit easier to work with because they're slightly less heat sensitive. When you start heating these up to remove the delamination, they like to shrink. So you got to be very careful how much heat you apply in one area, and you also have to be very careful not to overheat it, because this thing will absolutely start shrinking on you. and you'll lose your positions of your pot holes and everything else. It'll just shrink, and of course then it'll also, you know, basically it'll warp and it'll start pulling outward. So you got to be very careful how you do this. It's definitely not for the unexperienced, for sure. But I'll show you what this looks like. So this is the actual delamination right here. So you can see just how this thing looks. This is that's the interface. Actually, it's backwards. I think it goes this way here. But that's that layer that was coming off. And so you can kind of see what it looks like as a fully removed material, and just how great it looks. An example of this, once again, is this LHC, which is also going to be getting the same treatment. But you can see it's starting to bubble out on the screw sides and all that kind of stuff, and you start seeing it bubble out from the textured embossed leather, the fake leather look there. But this panel will be getting the same thing. So same thing here. I have to drop all the modulation pitch wheel, the sockets, the switches, anything that's got screws in it that has to come off, so I can pull this material off. So it's quite a process. But as you can see, just comparison between before and after, it's major. It makes a huge difference in the look of the Minimoog. But anyways, just want to give you guys an update on that. Well, now for something completely different. This escalated quickly. So I've decided to go in and restain this Minimoog. And as you can see, I redid this top piece here first. So I've already got it redone. Everything else is original. And I got looking at it, and I was going to try to redo this top piece since it had the bad place where the badge was. That's the primary issue this one had up here. As I tried to match it as close as I could to the original color, and then when I got looking at it, it just didn't look right. It may look better on camera, but it just didn't. It looked like kind of like, I'll explain it, like a car that's had a fender replaced with the same color fender, but it's been repainted, and it's not exactly, you can just tell that the clear coat and everything's not the same. That's kind of how this was. So I've decided to go in and sand it all out. As you can see, I've already started sanding this side here, getting it prepped. Got to do the outer side with a palm sander. Do all this by hand since I've already got this piece here done. And I'm just masking. I'm going to mask it off real good and keep it like it is. But you can just see how great this Minimoog is going to look. I've actually delaminated the LHC panel as well here. You can see just how clean and nice this Minimoog is going to look. It's going to look really, really good. Right now I'm just taking care of a few little nicks here. I've got one I just noticed right there. Just taking care of a few little nicks there. I've sanded them back and getting them prepped for a full sanding. But anyways, just want to give you guys another update. So it's moving along slowly, but we're making progress. Alright, we finally have this Minimoog all complete, and it's looking fantastic here, as you can see. Went through and restained it, as you had saw earlier. This is it in the final, of course the final, because it's all assembled. But I got the staining all done, delamination taken care of on both the LHC, the interface panel, as well as the badge. This badge here was actually missing when I got it, and Bruce actually sent it down to me. It was in the case, so he sent it down to me. I took care of the delamination on it and got it reinstalled. But just cleaned everything up really good. Went to electronics, did all the common failure trend stuff I do to these things to make sure it's going to play great. Did some improvements in some areas. Nothing to take away the sound, but just stuff to improve the tracking reliability of the oscillators, as well as give it a true dead center on the pitch wheel. So dead zone mod, so it makes the pitch wheel much more playable, and you don't have sharps or flats when you go back to the center detent. It just makes things so much better. Rebuilt the keyboard. You can hear it's no longer clanky like it was at the first part of the video. Some new key bushings, key alignment, contact cleaning, contact alignment. So everything's been gone through there. But you can just see, once again, I'll walk you around here. You can just see how great that wood looks. Here's all the old parts. So power cord's been replaced, of course, and then the fuse holder for the primary fuse, had to replace it because it was actually chipped. This is bakelite material, and I couldn't get it open to check the fuse value, which I always like to verify the right fuses are in them. And so I ended up just replacing your fuse holder here as well, and took care of that for you, so that won't be a problem in the future. If it does something happen and you blow a fuse, you can open it. Cleaned the back pallet really good. Of course, you can see once again the wood follows on through. I also did the inside. I didn't show that earlier in the earlier part of the video, but I did actually sand the inside and take care of that. I usually like to take these cabinets apart when I actually do a stain job, but these early ones, they're so thin on these end chicks that typically when you start loosening everything up and you start trying to beat it apart, you actually crack the wood, and then you got an ugly spot you got to fill with wood filler, and it's never good. But you can just see how great the wood looks here. The badge is reinstalled back here. And of course, just to show you too, this is your serial number. So 4545 is your serial number there. Even though this don't look the same Minimoog, it is the same Minimoog. I'll just walk you on around here. But this side here, you've always got one side that tends to be more grainy than the other side, I guess you could say. On Minimoogs, I redo them, and this side here just happens to be the one that has a lot of grain in it. But this is a 74, so it did have a good stain on it. It just, had deteriorated in that one area from that glue. And the more I tried to work on it, the worse it got. But anyways, let me put the camera on the tripod here, and I'll give you a good demo of it. Alright, so anyways, I'm going to start by first showing you a sound that I've built. This is just going to show the unit as a whole. And I'll break it down, show you that each oscillator works, and show you that the filter works, and that the envelope controllers work. So we'll go through each section here and just give you a good overview of it. So here's just the sound I built here. This is including all three oscillators, and just kind of a cool kind of sound. So anyways, you can just hear how great this thing sounds. It has a really good sound. You can also hear kind of the ranges of your oscillators, how well they hold together. I spent a lot of time in Minimoogs working on that area of these units. So anyways, now we'll just open this filter up. I'll show you that all the oscillators work. So we'll start with oscillator 1 only. Get all these set up where they're even. So we got everything off except oscillator 1. Filter opened up. I'll make this envelope sustain for me here. And so now I'll just show you, here's oscillator 1 only. There's your volume control, cleaned all the pots as well. So there's oscillator 1, here's oscillator 2. There's oscillator 2. I'll go back and show you the oscillator tuning here in a minute. The detune for oscillator 2 and 3, that is. So here's oscillator 3. Good clean volume pot once again. So now I'll show you that the tuning, the auto tune, I've cleaned these pots here as well. So we'll go through the range of the detune of oscillator 3 first here. So there's oscillator 3, here's oscillator 2. So there's oscillator 2. So you hear all the oscillators are working fantastic there. Now I'll show you the filter. So we'll actually close this filter up, make sure the envelope's off. And I'll show you that it tracks the keyboard real well. So we'll start with the 440 Hertz. So here's just the filter. So there's just your filter. We can combine that, we can actually take the tracking off so the filter will not track the keyboard. As you can see, we can put on tracking only number 1 here. As you can hear, and then here's only tracking 2. When you combine them though, that's where you get full track. So that's your filter. That's it actually tracking the keyboard. Now I'll show you also that the, we'll go and show you that the contour works for the filter. So we'll bring up the amount of contour, set everything to 0. I'll close this filter up a little bit. That's your amount of contour. We got everything set to where it's just a click there. So we'll bring up the, actually leave that set there. We'll bring up the decay. So there's your decay. Then we got the attack. As you can hear, and then we've also got the sustain level, which sets how far down the decay will actually go. So you can kind of hear how that works. If we turn that back to 0, versus that. So you can kind of hear how your envelope or your contour generator works. This envelope generator, in some sense, Moog preferred to call it a contour. It's what they called their envelope generators. So that's your filter contour. Now we got the loudness contour. I'll show you that works real quick. So we'll go here and get it set to 0. We got the oscillators back on. We'll open this filter up. So here's just a click. Bring up the decay. Basically follow out the decay. Like so. Set that back to 0, bring up the attack. As you can hear. We've also got the sustain level on this as well, so we can bring that up. It kind of gives you kind of a percussive kind of sound. I'll show you how this works. So right now we got to click again. We'll set the decay switch over here to on. So you can see I don't have any. Bring that up just a little bit there. With that all the way down, you can see, you just hear that click. So now you can see with the decay switch, I'll show you this works. So what it does, you can see right now if I let off a note, you're going to follow out the decay time. If I flip that switch off, it's just going to go immediately to 0 decay. And that's your loudness control. I'll go back right quick and show you that your noise source works. I haven't showed you that yet. So here's your noise source. That's your volume knob there. So we actually got white noise and pink noise right near here in the white noise. Anyway, you can hear your noise. That's mixed in the filter a little bit there with the oscillators running. So that's your noise source. Then we also got the modulation over here. I'll show you that the modulation works. So we actually lose oscillator 3 for this. And because oscillator 3 becomes LFO. First show you that it modulates the oscillators. So let me actually turn on. So that's it modulating your oscillators. You also heard the pitch wheel. I'll show you this real quick. So we'll bend the pitch, but you'll see if I wiggle it in the detent, there's going to be no frequency shift in the oscillator. We'll actually just turn on one oscillator for this. So here's oscillator 1 only. So you can see I can wiggle it within the detent, and it's not affecting the tuning of the oscillator. So you don't have any flats or sharps, which is very, very handy when you want to use this wheel. So that's your modulation into your oscillators. We'll modulate the filter. We're going to turn these oscillators back on here. So here's just your filter modulating. And that's it with just a little bit of contour generator set up. So you got a nice little kind of slope in the filter there. So that's your modulation. We can also get into audio range because it's an oscillator that we're using as LFO. So we bring this up, we can get FM synthesis kind of stuff. So anyways, can you hear that? That's actually the oscillator still tracking, the filter is not tracking anymore. We can do right the opposite. We can turn tracking of the oscillator off, turn tracking of the filter on. And basically got a ring modulator. So just kind of some cool sound effects there. So open that filter back up. I will go back to modulation and show you that the mod mix works. So if we turn the oscillator here, we'll make it an LFO source again. If you saw the light just flash, my refrigerator kicked off and or kicked on. Whenever my refrigerator kicks on, it makes all these overload lights come on. It's just the way these things interfere with my refrigerator. See, let's go here. So we got a modulation again. Now what we can do, we can actually engage noise into the mod mix. So if I bring up the wheel, you'll hear the oscillator. As I turn this pot here, you'll hear the noise come in rather than the oscillator. So you can hear how that modulation mix works there. And same thing with the filter, do the same thing in the filter. Actually, I may need to clean that pot. I may have forgot to clean that one pot, which is no big deal. I can do that. I can hear one little spot in there where it's actually engaging before it's turned. If I can clean that pot, no problem. But you can hear the same thing. I can inject noise into the filter. You hear the different noises. You can get some really good like wind. There's a mixture of the noise and the LFO. So anyways, you can hear how that works. That's your modulation section. And of course you've already heard glide a little bit, but I'll show you the glide does work. Of course, you got the glide on and off switch. So anyways, you can hear how that sounds. Excuse the train outside. But anyways, just want to give you a good demo of this thing, Bruce, before I get it ready to go back to you. And once again, I really do appreciate it. And there'll be more here come here very soon. Take care.